Hi.
Okay, cool. Okay, guys, let's begin. First of all, thank you all for joining. Jesse, I didn't know your middle name was Lewis.
Yeah, it is.
Noted. Okay, guys, so what I wanted to talk about today was getting ready for Pesach. One sec. Okay, so I want to talk about Pesach today, considering that it's next week. And I wanted to talk about it in a way that maybe gives us a vision and lets us tap into what Pesach is. And at the same time, gives us some practical steps that we can actually use to tap into the experience. Hopefully, I want to talk about empowerment and how a person can feel empowered in their own life and own experience. If I was in the United States, I'd be charging $1,000 US a head for this class. Self-help, self-improvement, but you guys are all lucky since you're ORSA members. Or my mother-in-law, no, my mother-in-law is actually no longer in the class. But if you were, so then you would get the awesome $0 free discount. So we'll have a look at some of these things. I'll keep it quick and to the point, and then we'll open for some questions, and that's what we'll do. Okay. So I think that the way to tap in, maybe one way to tap into what Pesach is all about, from our perspective, considering that none of us are actually slaves. Although if we're from South Africa, we may have been involved in the slave business. But the way I think that we can connect to it is a concept of empowerment or disempowerment. So I want to open up to the floor and say, if you had to describe the feeling of empowerment or the feeling of disempowerment, what attributes would you give it?
Empowerment would be feeling capable.
Nice. That was the best answers thus far.
Probably belief in yourself.
Nice, Gabs. I love that.
Belief from others. I can trust from others.
Nice.
Disempowerment is like negative self-talk, maybe.
Nice, beautiful.
I think being disempowered also is like a feeling of being a victim, like never being able to shake bad circumstances or like the condition you're in or whatever it is.
Beautiful answer, Danny. That was an awesome answer. So I think when I thought about it, those were exactly my feelings. When I tap into the experience of being empowered at certain times in my life, I was in control. I felt big. I felt expansive. I felt like I had the ability to influence, the ability to do things. And I felt like the reins were in my hand. Now, on the contrary, the times in my life when I felt disempowered is times when I felt like I didn't have the ability to influence my surroundings, like I was out of control, like I was small, like I was constricted. Victimized is a great word. So we have two diametric experiences. I don't know if I'm the only person who's experienced both of them, but I for sure in my life have experienced really powerful experiences of empowerment and really powerful experiences of disempowerment. And as much as possible, I want to be in that place of empowerment. I think that is the feeling of freedom. The ability of freedom is to be able to do what it is you want to do and affect the world in the way that you want to affect it. Whereas disempowerment is feeling like a slave to whatever it might be. But a slave for sure doesn't have the power to influence that around him or her in a positive way. Okay. The next question I want to ask you is, if you had a friend who came to you and they said, who's going to be my guinea pig? They said, Chelsea, I feel so disempowered. I just feel like I feel disempowered in my life and I don't know what to do. I want to feel empowered again. What would you tell them to do? And that question is not only to Chelsea, that's to everybody. And I want to hear your answers.
Probably self-love, like caring for themselves and giving time to like doing things that they enjoy doing.
Nice. So doing things that make them happy. So does that mean like what are some examples would you say?
Maybe if you're like in a down place, like it's sometimes good to exercise or like go for a walk and kind of like sit with your emotions. That can be like sometimes positive or negative.
Nice. Interesting. I love that point because a person who's in a negative place, sometimes if they can kind of dwell in that negative space, and sometimes it can also shift things for them. But I like that piece of advice, Gabi. That's great. Anybody else have any other ideas?
Empower them, like validate them and their thoughts and beliefs, make them feel good about themselves.
Nice. So just kind of tell them that, well, I believe in you and I, see all these great things about you, and try to validate their experience.
For sure.
Nice. That's beautiful.
I think like make sure the person knows that you're listening and like an active listener, and kind of asking questions about them, things that they're interested in rather than just things that you're interested in.
Nice. Nice. So give them the feeling of being seen.
Maybe to try and help them get to the source of their disempowerment, because normally there is a source.
Nice, Jesse. That's very deep. I love that answer. Oftentimes, I think that's great. I think that oftentimes there is something in particular that is constricting us, so trying to uproot it. That's hard work, but I think it's powerful.
Maybe encourage them to do something that they're good at.
Nice. Some positive reinforcement. Build some confidence, that type of thing. That's really good. Okay, look, you guys should be giving the class, not me. So just why don't you guys, one of you guys turn your video on and I'll turn mine off, and then we'll just, okay. So first of all, those are all beautiful answers. And I think that's to be expected from a high level group like this. I want to share with you the answer of the Ramchal. Okay? Now, this answer is so simple, it's scary. It's actually so simple that it's shocking how simple it is. And we're going to explore the simplicity of it and how it could be. It's also a bit boring. It doesn't have the pizzazz or the oomph of some of the answers you guys said, but I think in the simplicity is maybe the importance of this idea. And the idea is as follows. The key to empowerment, or a key to empowerment, is aligning your values with your time and effort. Which is to say, spending time and effort, your time and your effort, on the things proportionate to how much they really matter to you, is living an empowered life. Now, the beautiful thing is you don't actually have to do anything. You don't have to go for a walk or exercise or speak to anybody else. You just have to live your life in accordance with the things that you care about, that you truly care about. And when a person lives their life in accordance with the values that they hold dear to them, so they feel very, very, very empowered. If you feel like you are putting in energy and effort into the things that you actually care about. So that's a beautifully empowering experience. You can say from the other side of things that a disempowered life is putting time and effort into things that you actually don't care about. If you feel like you are spending time and energy on things that don't matter to you, that is incredibly disempowering. I know, for example, when I was a kid and I had to do homework for subjects that I didn't care about at all. So that experience was incredibly frustrating and disempowering because I feel like I'm directed in a way that is not at all close to what I care about. So I think that shift is very subtle and it's very easy to make, but it's super empowering. I drew a graph. You guys all know David Kosofsky, the enchanting speaker, but do you know David Kosofsky, the artist? Can you see that at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this, I think, is the key to life. They're gonna put this in the Louvre one day next to the Mona Lisa. This is it. I drew this myself. If you can't tell.
Rabbi Wenglin special.
That's right. That's a special. If you live your life where your value system translates directly to your time and effort, so you will be empowered. If your value system translates to some Japanese block tower that is imbalanced, so then that's disempowerment. Pretty proud of that, guys. I'm proud of that. No, it's a bit of a dig at the Japanese block tower. It is. Okay. What I want to do now is to make this practical and real. I would love for everybody to take a couple minutes out and make their own pyramids. Because another important part of this is that I want my own Pesach preparation. And part of my Pesach preparation is to force Jews to build pyramids. So we'll do that for 5 minutes. I have a list here of 5 values. Okay. I'm going to ask you guys, all of your videos are off, so none of you guys could do this and I would have no idea. So just humor me. To take these 5 values and rank them from 1 to 5. Which of these 5 things, which is the most important to you and which is the least important to you? 1 is the most important and should be at the bottom of the pyramid. 2 is the second most important. It should be at the second stage in the pyramid. 5 would be the least important thing. It's at the very top of the pyramid. And when you have that finished, so then I also want you guys to take an honest think about the way that you spend your time. And Kessel, beautiful. Beautiful. That's an empowered tower. And then after that, look at the way that you spend your time and your effort and the things that you're putting yourself into at the moment, and rank them from 1 to 5. 1 being the most time and 5 being the least. I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to do that.
Can you just go through the values you have on your sheet?
Yes. The first value.
Should we just use these or should we add our own?
You can use these 5 or you can use your own. These are 5 ones that I chose that I thought would be interesting to rank. But if you want to choose a different set, you definitely can do that. if you just want to message me or message in the chat when you're done, that would be great. Okay, guys, one more minute, and then we'll go to the next point, which I think is the final point as well. Okay. So interesting exercise to do. Obviously, I'm getting at a point here, which is that make sure in life that your values, the things that you really care about in life, line up with the things that you're putting your time and effort into. Now, the interesting thing is that so often in life and with so many people, those two pyramids don't match up. People spend way more time and effort and thought on the things that they really don't care about. You know, if a person has a near-death experience or has some sort of tragedy, it could be something like corona, but something oftentimes more personal, what happens, or if they get close to in their old age, they realize and they wake up and they realize that the time and effort that they're spending is misdirected. That they are putting themselves into the wrong things, the things that they actually don't care about. And the things that they do care about, close family relationships, relationship with themselves, they don't put effort into. They're totally neglecting it. By the way, I think that's why corona can either be a beautiful experience, quarantine can be a beautiful experience or a terrible experience. If you've been neglecting your family and now you come back to spend, you're locked in a house with your family, so that's quite a jarring and unpleasant experience. If you've been putting time in the right areas into those relationships, so and you get to spend more time with your family, so that's a beautiful thing. We have these glimpses. We have these glimpses into what matters in life. Now the question is, it's so simple that we should be putting in time toward an effort towards the things that we care about. The real question is, why don't we? Or how could we not? How is it possible that a person lives their life and doesn't put in time and effort to the things that they care about? How does that happen? And it happens a lot. That is what a midlife crisis is. By the way, if there's one mission statement of Orsum, it's perhaps to prevent midlife crises, or rather to help people have their midlife crises now, which is to say, don't wait for that realization of I've been living life out of alignment with who I am when you're 50, because that means for the last 50 years you've been out, or last 40 years you've been out. If you have that realization when you're 20 and you say, oh wow, I'm really putting in my effort and time into areas that don't matter so much to me, and these things that really do matter a lot to me and are really important, I'm neglecting. So then it's a great thing to have that wake-up call when you're 20, because great, now you get to build. So the question I want to ask is, if it's so simple and so obvious that we should live life according to our values, which is to say, of course we should do that. Who wouldn't do that? Who wouldn't spend time and effort dedicated to the things that they care about? It makes so much sense to live life like that. It's so obvious. So the question is, and I want to put it to the group, and then we'll see the answer of the Ramchal, who is a great Jew who lived in Italy in the 1700s. We'll see what his answer is. But before we get to his answer, I want to hear your guys' answer. And the question one more time is the following thing. How is it possible? What is the mechanism that would cause a person to spend time and effort on things that don't really matter to them and neglect the things that really do matter to them?
Comfort.
What'd you say, Cass?
Comfort.
Comfort. So if something that matters to you is
Like it, because I reckon probably self-development is probably looking inwards, probably one of the harder things. So the reason that people spend a lot more time watching Netflix is because it's easier.
Nice. Now, do you think that's a conscious thing or a subconscious thing?
Subconscious for sure.
Subconscious. So yeah.
Yeah, it's just the way you go towards things of comfort. Yetzirah. Yeah.
Nice. That's a beautiful point. I like that. Okay, we have comfort. Comfort and ease and the desire for ease. Beautiful.
I think a lack of introspection.
Beautiful, Jess.
So just, yeah, not actually understanding one's own values.
And why do you think people don't introspect as much as they should?
Because it's difficult.
Because it's hard?
Yeah.
Easier to be distracted, easier to look outside?
Mm.
Nice. The Ramchal is going to also say in his answer, it's a lack of introspecting. He's going to say that's caused by a different reason, but nice.
Maybe to build on that a little bit is like also social pressures. Like the world around us kind of tells us how we should spend our time or what should be important to us, and so it can be hard to like maybe feel the dissatisfaction of like, okay, I'm being told that I really have to care about X and it doesn't resonate with me, but then like not having a roadmap towards figuring out what actually does resonate with me.
That's beautiful. At a certain point in time, the values of the society around us may creep in so much that they sneakily seem like our own values, but they're really not. That's an awesome answer. Yeah, that's a great answer. Any other thoughts?
I think like some people kind of just go with the flow of the day and like of their life rather than just like taking time out for themselves and looking in, or, you know, doing the self-help kind of things like that.
Nice. Like they're kind of like a short-sighted vision, like they're just kind of preoccupied with their day-to-day type of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful. The Ramchal is going to say something similar to that. Okay, are we ready to go to the Ramchal or any other thoughts? Okay, we'll go to the Ramchal. Just so this is an excerpt from the Ramchal. The Ramchal's name is Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto. He lived in Italy in the 1700s. He was a next level genius. By the time he was 17, he was writing books and he was like a big rabbi. He passed away when he was 39. In that time span, that 22-year time span, he wrote an incredible amount of like Hall of Fame books that covered the spectrum from philosophy to Kabbalah to how to learn Gemara. His most famous book is the book Mesilat Yesharim, which is kind of his. It was a masterpiece near the end of his life. That is the go-to book for character development, and it's so important because it's founded on the principles of Kabbalah, and yet it's incredibly practical. We're going to have a look at it right now. Just a cool note about how the Ramchal worked and operated and what kind of person he was and how smart he was. When he wrote his books, he would do the following thing. He would put his head down on the table like this, and he would sit with his head down for something like 12, 14, 16 hours in a row. He wouldn't eat, wouldn't drink. He would just sit there like this. And he would think about the entire book from the first word to the last word. And then he would pick his head up, and then he would write the whole book in one go. No edit, no copy. He just one go. That's the kind of mind we're dealing with here. So I'll show you guys what the Ramchal says. And in doing so, I think we'll get an insight to the more advanced people here about the root of the word pharaoh. As in, the noun pharaoh means a dictator, an Egyptian dictator. What does the verb lifroa mean? And we're going to see. So I'm going to share. Okay. Can you guys see the copy here? Somebody?
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
We can.
Okay, cool. So the Ramchal says the following. In truth, and he's talking about why people have a lack of introspection and a lack of living life according to their values, and he's explaining why. He says, in truth, this is one of the cunning strategies of the evil inclination to relentlessly burden people's heart with his service, which is to say with mundane activities, with folding the laundry, with going to uni, with going to work, so as to leave them no room to reflect and consider which road they are taking. For he knows that if they were to put their ways to heart even the slightest bit, which is to say, if they were to think about and introspect and meditate on the way that they were living their lives, certainly they would immediately begin to feel a certain sense of regret for the way that they're living. The remorse would go and intensify with them until they would abandon their mistake or sin completely. So if a person would sit with themselves and sit with that misalignment, so then they would naturally go, oh, I'm going to change the way I live. This is similar to the wicked Pharaoh's advice, who said when the Jewish people were slaves, intensify the men's labor. And so Pharaoh made the work much more intense for the Jewish people. Why did he do so? His intention was to leave them no time whatsoever to oppose him or to plot against him. He didn't want to leave them any time to introspect. He strove to confound their hearts of all reflection by means of constant, incessant labor. If you see this word here, lahafriya, which means basically to prevent one from seeing, it's to prevent one from introspecting because of external distractions or work. That is the same word as Pharaoh. As in, the verb in Hebrew, lahafriya, means to distract somebody by making them do things. So I think the Ramchal is telling us that what the Yetzer Hara tries to do to us, what our internal Pharaoh does to us, is it keeps us very, very busy. It makes us feel like we have to do this thing, to do the next thing, to do the next thing. We have to do well in our ATARs so that we can get into the proper uni program, so we can get the best position at the place that has the consulting internships. Then we get the best post-grad job. It puts us on that track, and it makes our lives so busy that we actually have no time to stop and reflect. And by the way, one of the crushing blows for the Jewish people in Egypt was that Pharaoh took Shabbos away from them. And when without that pause in the week, so the same experience was even more deep for the Jewish people, which is to say there was no time for them to reflect, to introspect, to have a breath. And that is what Pharaoh does. I think that's why people have misaligned time and effort and values. Again, I think this is the simplest way to be empowered. I think it's really, really easy. If you don't get caught in the trap, I think it's really easy. You just decide to spend time with the things that matter to you. Okay, so it is hard to introspect, but it's doable. It really is. That's what I wanted to share with you guys. I would love to hear questions, if there are any.
David, I've got a question if I can.
Yeah.
How often do you think that someone's like values, or how easily do you think someone's values like that change or adjust?
That's a great question. I think the major values in a person's life will never change. And I think that the major values in a person's life never change. And circumstance or the way that you express it may change, but the real values will always be the same. Certainly the inner values.
Thank you.
Other thoughts?
Maybe just like tips for creating some space to be able to do the introspective work.
Sorry, what'd you say, Danny?
I said, maybe do you have any like tips of things that can be applied to enable us to do the introspection?
Look, I always find that sometimes introspecting can be very intimidating, and it can feel very heavy. So I think that to make it like a nice activity is really a crucial thing. If you like beer, grab a beer. If you like music, listen to some music. and make it a nice, positive experience for yourself. And take some time out and treat it seriously, but have fun with it. And I think that is one tip that I would say, is to have fun with it. The second tip I would say is find a mentor. You know, in the world of careers, in building a career, so it's very, very obvious that a person has to find a mentor to grow under and to help them develop, because there's an appreciation that an up and coming person in the commercial world doesn't have the perspective that somebody 5-10 years ahead of them has. And you really need that. That's a real asset to someone. So for some reason in the spiritual world and in the world of values, that never got translated, but it's essential. There's so many great people that have a spiritual perspective on things, that have a more developed life perspective. It's hard with parents, but find that person that you feel gets you, you feel listens to you, you feel like you can bounce ideas off of. It can be a good friend who's very wise. You know, Rabbi Evan, Rav Hanan in Melbourne, Kara, you know, Lisa, these are great, great people. Unfortunately, if you're in Sydney, you're stuck with Danny and myself. So sorry about that. But find a mentor that you feel like gets you and you feel like gets life, and use them. People want to be helpful. So find those people and ask them for their time, and you'll be surprised how willing they are to help. Kessel, I charge $300 an hour, American.
That's one pair of shoes for Cass.
What'd you say, Chelsea?
That's one pair of shoes.
Hello, Chelsea.
Thanks, Dave.
Pleasure, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks,
Beautiful.
Thanks.
You guys,
Thanks, mate.
you guys all shared amazing answers. I'm blown away. Thank you.
I'll chat to you soon. Take care. Bye, guys.
Go get it.
Thanks, David.
Pleasure, Gabs. Pleasure.
Houston, that was great. I loved it.
Okay. I'm happy to hear. Hope it helps.
Thanks heaps, Dave. Appreciate it.
Jesse, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. What's happening?
Not much. Not much. Just wanted to come in, and that's one thing we can take out of this whole Corona thing. We can learn together again.
Yeah, totally. We should totally learn, by the way.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you wake up early?
I'm trying to.
As in, if we set a time for 8:15 in the morning, would you wake up for it?
Yeah, it'd be good.
Okay, Keen, can you do Thursday or Friday?
Thursday. Yeah, either one. Let me just double check now. Yeah, sure.
Okay,
That sounds good.
I'm using this new like software application thing called Calendly. So I'm gonna send you a link.
Yeah.
And just book it. Dude, how are you?
I realized when I joined that my sound wasn't on. So I'm like, oh, hey, Dave, how are you? And then I realized I was muted for like 5 minutes.
Seems a bit awkward like that.
Yeah. No, I'm good. What's been happening with you?
Nothing much, man. Just in quarantine life, kind of loving it.
Yeah. You can actually get a lot out of it. Hey.
There's a lot to be learned, and a lot to be like, brings a lot of things into focus. Like, I'm just quite grateful to be alive and healthy.
Yeah, for sure.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
So are you in hardcore quarantine over there? Like not leaving the house type of thing?
Yeah, pretty much. I moved out of home like a few months ago. So yeah. So I'm literally just between the house I live in and then my like family house, and that's basically it.
Well, how far you live in the same area still?
Yeah, it's like 10-minute drive. So yeah.
What area do you live in now?
Well, my family lives in Caulfield, but I live in Malvern.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, it's been a good change. It wasn't the best timing with
yeah, seriously.
like a rent, but
And you just, whenever you're hungry, you go home?
Yeah, look, mum and dad definitely helped me with meals here and there, so that's good.
Nice. And who are you living with? You living with roommates or?
Yeah, so two housemates. So one's a guy. He actually went on the awesome program last year. His name's Benji Sadiq. I'm not sure if you know him. He's from Melbourne.
Don't know.
Yeah, and then there's another guy who's he's not Jewish. He's just a guy that went to uni with him. But yeah, it's been really cool. I like it. It's a good experience.
It's an interesting experience. It's funny because in America, we all have that experience for the most part when we go to college.
Yeah, it's pretty normal, like to move out when you're young, but in the Jewish community, it doesn't happen much. So,
No, you're close though. You're a 10-minute drive. That's good.
yeah, exactly. So, yeah, no, I'm definitely keen to learn. We should definitely hook that up. But when did you say you wanted to do it?
I'll send you this thing right now.
Did you say that you had an app or something?
Yeah, I started. It was getting a bit like annoying to keep track of these things. So I ended up using this this application. I'm gonna forward to you, called Calendly. Now with Calendly, it's a pretty cool thing. You can basically like put in. It's basically a scheduling app.
Yeah, right. Oh, cool. Here we go. Oh, and you created it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Good on you. It's a scheduling app. Okay, cool. So, did you just send me your schedule? Is that what you did, or?
So if you click on the link, there should be opportunities that are like openings for you to sign up.
Ah, okay. Yeah, it says no times in March.
Really?
Oh, well, actually, that's because March has only one more day left, to be fair.
That's funny.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Thursday, Friday. Oh, that's amazing. Wow. Okay, cool. So I can just lock in that 8:15 on the Thursday.
Yeah, amazing.
Now, that's so good. Jeez.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a tech wizard.
Yeah, that's what you do, isn't it?
Well, kind of. I mean, I work for this kind of like tech company now, but I'm basically like the least tech capable person in the company that's under 30.
Oh, really?
It's like all these programmers and people who are just like, you want like light up keyboards and 19 monitors, and they're just like plugged in. And then I'm like, yeah, I mean, I have like a MacBook. Like that's about it.
Yeah. Fair enough. Wait, so are you going to turn this into an app, do you think, or it's just going to be like an online thing?
It's actually, I didn't build it.
Oh, you didn't. Okay. Oh, I thought you were saying you built it as well. I was like, oh.
No, that would be cool. I wish I did. Google built it though.
Yeah.
Although I do have an app I would love to build one day.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, cool. Good to learn with you. I really wanted to. When I saw this morning that you were running a session, I said I was gonna make an effort to get to zoom in.
Appreciate it, man. It was great to see your face. Made me so happy. What a great surprise.
Yeah, it was great to see you too. Unfortunately, my microphone was muted, so you couldn't hear me say hello. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'll just put that in my calendar now, and we'll catch up Thursday.
Okay, I'll see you then.
Perfect. All right, have a good one, Dave. Thanks for tonight as well. It was really good and insightful.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Cheers. We'll see ya.